Czech goalkeeper Pavel Cernicek had a point or two to prove following previous errors, but he more than matched the imposing figure of Devon White in this attack. United had already hit the woodwork once through Mick Quinn, and they did it again. This time, Gavin Peacock was the unlucky man. Rovers keeper Brian Parkin totally stranded. But this was an improved and determined Newcastle side. Young Lee Clark held onto the ball well, while Liam O'Brien found some space. The Irishman tried his luck from 25 yards and hit the jackpot. Now, so far this season, the irrepressible Mick Quinn hasn't found the target. But with some great running from Peacock and a 1-2 with keeper Parkin, he at last broke his duck. United rejuvenated. Quinn could and perhaps should have doubled his tally, and O'Brien sent him racing clear. Maybe he had too much time. Mind you, it was a tremendous piece of goalkeeping, and Clark couldn't capitalise on the rebound. Bristol's late consolation goal also had a touch of the old 1-2 about it. When Andy Reese's shot comes back off the post, debut boy Justin Skinner pulled one back, but it wasn't enough to prevent Newcastle's first win this season. Well, at this point, an unbelievable game at Crewe with Newcastle heading for humiliation. Big Stuart Evans latches onto the free kick. Crewe ahead after 3 minutes. And it got worse when Pavel Cernicek lost his way in the box. Stuart McPhillips sent this lob against the woodwork, and Cernicek on the wrong foot as Evans headed in again. The game was still only 22 minutes old when Cernicek's punch went wrong. Aaron Callaghan made it 3. But surprisingly, all was not lost. Cernicek's huge kick caught Dean Greygoose in a dither, and Andy Hunt keeps hopes alive. The fight back continued as Gavin Peacock set off on the hat-trick trail with a stunning finish. United right back in it now. It was Peacock, unshackled from his temporary job as a fullback, who levelled it. Lee Clark wormed his way into the Crewe danger zone and laid the chance on a plate. But he wasn't finished yet. Darren Bradshaw flicks on Clark's corner and Peacock grabs his third. 4-3, an astonishing comeback. And the match ball scarcely reward for saving the club's face, but Peacock stayed cool.
Yeah, it was a great game. It must have been a great game to watch. We were very disappointed going 3 goals down. They came out and they played some great stuff, and they tore us open 3 times and scored 3 goals. But having said that, we showed very good character to come back into the game and eventually win it.
After 3 minutes. After that, you couldn't afford to blink. Neil McNabb got Tranmere going 5 minutes later. Robbie Elliott was the first sufferer in a defender's nightmare. You don't do that with John Aldridge around. United's turn next. Andy Hunt missed out. Quinn cashed in. 4 in 19 minutes. Then a long boring spell before Liam O'Brien set Gavin Peacock through to put United ahead again. Fair's fair though, it was Rovers' turn next. Jim Steele. No complaints about extra time. Darren Bradshaw had a brainstorm as it all got silly. Aldridge looked to be taking the mick. Within 60 seconds, Rovers seemed to have settled it. Dave Martindale, 5-3. But every good farce thrives on a crazy plot. Lee Clark starts yet another comeback. Not many fans left early. It was Clark who set up United's 5th. Non-stop Peacock tying up the game. But it lacks something though. Penalties. 2 minutes left, extra time. Nielsen is brought down, and surely this must be it. Quinn does the old biz, and some people on the pitch think it's all over. Not by a long chalk. Plenty of time for a touch more drama. Nielsen the guilty man this time. Aldridge enjoyed the trip. 3 minutes into stoppage time. Jolly John gets his hat-trick to make it 6-6. It didn't clickety-click with Ozzy though. The penalty shootout. Quinn hits the post with his first. Tranmere reply. But agony for Clark as Eric Nixon saves. David Roach keeps United alive at 2-1, but Rovers didn't miss. Peacock couldn't afford to. 3-2 Tranmere. Pavel Cernicek did his bit to deny Dave Higgins. So O'Brien had to score to save the match. Nixon again. 17 goals, but United 1 short. No good for managers though.
Well, meanwhile, best chance of the first half fell to Hunt. Franz Carr chips it back across the box, and although the former non-league striker gets a good head on it, Grey Goose thumps it off the line, and there's still no way through for United. The keeper was making a name for himself after the break as well. Skipper Kevin Scott makes the long run through, pushes it out to Carr, and he decides to cut inside and hit one for a change. Grey Goose gobbles it up with Walker on top of him. It was non-stop pressure on the Crewe goal by now. It was the keeper's legs that came to the rescue as Walker sent in another shot. Then eventually the clear-cut chance fell to Andy Hunt. Carr supplied yet another measured cross, and the striker really should have hit the target, but had to wait until the 87th minute for all the night's pressure to pay off. It's the cross everyone had been waiting for from Franz Carr. Steve Howie dives in at the far post for the only goal of the game. The first home win and the first clean sheet of the season. So what about a cup run?
It's too early.
Snows for an opening saw them edge ahead of Brian Little's Leicester City. As Newcastle's confidence soared, there was some long overdue encouragement, especially from Lee Clark, who capped an impressive display with a second. United off the bottom, but Sunderland's downwards
of grief. Yesterday, Ozzy Ardelia's team desperately needed to beat an Oxford side in as much trouble as themselves. So quite enough reason for drama without adding a few more agonising scenes.
Two Newcastle players were under examination as Oxford came to St James, and while Gavin Maguire, on loan from Portsmouth, flunked in the 3rd minute when he should have snuffed out the first threat. But John Durnin was given time and space to give Oxford a shocked lead. A bad start for Ozzy Ardelia's men. But at least United show character these days, and 10 minutes later they were level. Alan Nielsen's header was chested in by Andy Hunt for his 5th of the season. United's other man under the microscope was goalkeeper Tommy Wright, in for the injured Pavel Cernicek. He overcame the early setback by brilliantly stopping Mickey Lewis's blockbuster. Just after the half hour, the Magpies were ahead. Lee Clark's deep cross, Steve Howe's classic knockdown, Gavin Peacock with time and poise. But Wright was tested again before the break, and this time the woodwork helped him out. A great volley though by Paul Simpson. Maguire gifted Germany a goal against Wales in midweek. Yesterday another clanger crossed a goal on a plate for Mike Ford. But within a minute, the Magpies restored the lead. We've seen the move before. Clark, Howie, Peacock in the right place, right time. Great finish. Again, though, United's Northern Ireland keeper was called up. Twice he denied Lee Nogan with point-blank saves, and the danger was cleared. But not for long. Only 18 minutes remaining when Newcastle's packed defence failed to clear their lines. Lewis picked up the loose ends by smashing the equaliser past Wright. 3-3. Then right at the end, a good minute into stoppage time, and United snatched a dramatic winner. Clark was going the wrong way when he crossed superbly. Kevin Scott got the header, and Peacock's first touch earned him the second hat-trick of his career. There's never a dull moment, it seems, with the black and whites.
I think it's because we play such
Broken neck. Yesterday, Alan Thompson made his full debut for Newcastle after an amazing recovery. He was handed Clark's shirt just before kick-off and didn't let anyone down. Neither did Andy Hunt. He started the ball rolling with his 7th goal of the season. And he was finding space all the time. He ran on to Gavin Peacock's through ball and held up play for young Thompson's moment of glory. A superb cross and an excellent finish from Steve Howie took United into a commanding lead. Grimsby didn't create many chances, but when old stager Gary Birtles heads one over Tommy Wright, Captain Scott comes to the rescue. Newcastle, on the other hand, could have had a hatful. Peacock was controlling the game and shooting on sight. The Mariners should have pulled one back from this set-piece, but Murray Jones' header smacks against the post and rebounds to safety, Thompson tidying up. Hunt almost added his second from a Peacock nod down. Steve Sherwood off his line. Luckily for him, it went over the top. But the biggest cheer of the afternoon was reserved for this moment. Steve Watson back from the wilderness. He was only on the bench because of Clark's injury, but Ardelia said the teenager looked in a different class and he came on. In fact, he could have been studgying with Peacock for the last 2 months. He didn't deserve to see this one bounce back off the upright. Newcastle were always one step ahead of a poor Grimsby side, but Tommy Wright did have one final scare to deal with. Gary Child's belter tipped over the top. His opposite number had by far the busier afternoon, and he was only too pleased to watch Howie's glancing header just before the end fly wide of the target. The final whistle brought relief all round, and what a day for the 17-year-old who was given his big chance just minutes before the kick-off.
I think it was a bit of a lucky break, but you need that.
Would have probably expected Sunderland to come out comfortably on top in the Tyne-Wear derby at Roker Park. But you know what they say about local derbies.
Inexperienced Newcastle made light of second billing with a bright start. Andy Hunt's powerful first-timer needed double the effort from Tony Norman. But it was still Sunderland who took the lead after 21 minutes. Anton Rogan crossing for Gordon Armstrong, Peter Davenport steering the ball goalwards, the unfortunate Matty Appleby helping it into the net. Davenport's first goal in 8 months. Sunderland looked to build on their lead. Armstrong, in the thick of it, forced an improvised response from Tommy Wright. The Wearsiders now justifying their pre-match optimism. United could easily have slipped further behind 5 minutes later. Colin Pascoe got round the defence, but Armstrong again denied by Wright. But with the hour approaching, Newcastle hauled themselves back into the game. Armstrong caught in possession. Liam O'Brien with a marvellous piece of quick thinking. Each perfect, there can't have been many better derby goals. And O'Brien knew it. After that, it could have gone either way. United's best chance fell to substitute Steve Watson, but the 17-year-old headed over. Sunderland too could have grabbed the glory. Paul Bracewell's delicate pass put John Kay through, but a combination of defence and keeper made sure neither Tyne nor Weir could claim the ascendancy. An interesting Saturday afternoon of local talent, so would have been applauding when Lee Clark set up Alan Thompson for an early pot shot. Youth will get every chance. But after half an hour, the Metro centre Midas must have feared a disastrous debut. Bristol's front striker Devon White left the defence trailing as he rolled Rovers into the lead. But the West Country side aren't struggling without good reason. They let in David Kelly, who kept his composure enough to chip the keeper. But Steve Yates was covering, and by the time Kevin Brock followed up, so too was Brian Parkin. The new chairman was no great fan of the previous manager, but he'd have to acknowledge the value of one of his later buys, Gavin Peacock. Parkin at full stretch denied him the equaliser. One of Aussie's buys was the next to go close. Clark picking out David Kelly, but the header just off target. But a terrific Clark volley brought better reward when he sent Peacock galloping into space. The cross tested Parkin, and Brock quickly sized up the odds to steer in his first goal of the season. That was in the 64th minute. United knew they had time to press home their initiative. Within moments, more uncertain defending sent Kelly through, but his shot flashed wide. This was a productive spell by Newcastle. Another minute later, Steve Watson reminded everyone of his power in possession. But for once, Peacock was caught on the hop. It wasn't till the 87th minute, though, that United finally grabbed the points. Skipper Kevin Scott releasing a really exquisite pass to Peacock, and somehow Kelly manages to get that ball over the line. Newcastle must have made the new chairman sweat. He probably had to get used to that.
The Gladiator enters the arena to a standing ovation, just 76...